Hey, muy buenas noches, everyone. I hope everybody's doing well, blessed, and enjoying family. And as always, muchísimas gracias to everyone for you guys' words, prayers, and your amazing support in helping me get my message out there in the hopes that it could reach someone that it might be of any type of need in a positive way. To this guy from, all them lies that I myself felt into them, right? But anyways, gracias. Now to get into the story in hand, I want to touch a little bit more on my story and do excuse I jump, right? But someone's been asking me for a while to touch on camaradas from Canoga Park, right? Which, I planned to just a little further down my story. But, today I want to talk about what I always talk about, do excuse if I sound annoying when I say on how nothing we do is gonna ever hold any type of value, right, to these individuals when it comes to tecatear or simply their pride will always come first and foremost than camaradas' well-beings, right? But anyways, today I want to talk about, the homie Chavo from Canoga Park and Raton, or Chiquilin as we used to call him here in Mexico, right, when we were doing our thing. But he was from Van Nuys, it was the homie Raton. And anyways, for those that are familiar with Chavo, I don't know how many there is, but he's the one that has his whole hairline. He has a whole sweater, right, of tacas when it comes to evil work, right? He's a little bit older than myself. Raton, we're about the same age, right? Big nose Raton from Van Nuys. Anyways, both of them did their thing in the system, right? When it came in Cali, all that holding jardines, getting validated, going back there and sitting down, validated till everyone started getting kicked out the shoe again. And a couple years after that, they eventually paroled, right? We paroled right around the same time, right, to Mexico. So, just to put a little back history with the homies, we did two misiones, as I stated I want to touch later on. But anyways, with Chavo, I always state we were out here. If we're domies in Cali and in Mexico, we just hard to hire guns, right? To be punta or just go in where you know, in comillas, a pocho can go in like a tourism and take care of business and punch, right? Play that he ha ha dummy part, right? But nevertheless, I always been or was that idiot, right? Where something and I seen a little bit of hesitation, I would always raise my hand, right? And I'll do it. Which the homie Chavo, he had a little drinking problem, right? But he didn't mess around. He just liked this his jarra, right? So again, he was a solid homie, right? A lot of people must know him from the system, right? He was representing his neighborhood, Canoga Park, real good inside. I'll just leave it at that. But anyways, it was just one of them times where we reunited in Culiacan, right? And some things uprose. For example, there was a big issue, right? A couple camaradas had been sent out there. Another homie, right? And a homie from Kansas that basically is when all that, Jalisco stuff started. And so there was incidents out there. So they had sent them. There was a certain Cuban, right? With Feria that he was doing his thing, right? And he didn't really care about plaza this, plaza that, right? He went with the prices and didn't care that he was in Jalisco, right? Or in Chapala. So they needed, the two homies disappeared, right? That went out there just simply. And when that happens here in Mexico, you know, it's a wrap. So again, they requested and, we ended up going out there, right? Me for being a dummy and, the homie Chavo, cause, one of the homies that went out there was his homeboy, right? So we went out there and, you know, usually when we went out somewhere and there's cerro, right? There's mountains where you could go stash yourself. It was always in a bigger group than two, right? And again, it was not too long after we had gotten there, so that wasn't my first experience, but it was one of my first ones that we went out there and just camped out, right? And, for those that been in Chapala, it's it's a place, you know, that will lock on to you, especially because where we were gonna find this Cuban was, in this little town, right? You go down to the Malecon, I remember, and you go outwards, and it's called Santa Teresa, right? He had a resort on some type out there. So we were way out there, right? Even away from Chapala in a sense. But anyways, it was just one of them times you're out there and you're really taking note even of the cricket, right? Making noises. It was just, there wasn't no callo there yet, right? So, nevertheless, you guys know I don't like to glorify, but, you know, it became a real famous thing in Chapala where, it was me, or myself, excuse me, the homie Chavo, and the homie Wino from Frisco. We went out there and, the homie Wino didn't really have tags. If he had a Lisa on, you couldn't tell, so he stayed behind, right? Me and Chavo, we booked it, right? We hit Cerro and we just camped out, right? But again, we were wet behind the ears, both of us. So we thought just with a little blanket we were gonna be cool out there, but well, I'll just say it got bad, right? And the homie Wino stayed behind. And you know, we did our thing. We had certain people taking us food and basically doing their little halcon part, right? Updating us on things. And we weren't supposed to do anything. But what had happened was they picked up the homie Wino. And when they picked up the homie Wino, that he was the less obvious one of three, we right away knew that they knew we were there. Of course, you know, they didn't know the angle we were there to do, but because Wino was in Chapala and we were out in this little town, like I mentioned. So we basically left everything, just suited, booted, went down and we took care of business and we punched, right? Remember, we got out of there, went into Guadalajara and just caved in, right? To a safe house. But anyways, it's not to glorify, it's just, I want to put a little backstory on the homie, right? You know, within time, as you guys will hear later on my story, we did a couple other things. I went out to El Dorado with Raton, and likewise, you know, we took care of some stuff, but it wasn't as difficult as, you know, going out and being out in the cerro and being so little of us. You guys get it, right? Over here in Culiacan, it was going to Dorado, boom, boom, boogie, and vámonos para atrás, right? But nevertheless, you know, I'm saying this to state that the camaradas, they were solid, right? Everything was done under the responsibility of being camaradas, right? Campoleros. So, you know, you guys know throughout all this we're doing, there was pipelines being open. you know, there was avenues being open with every step that we helped this certain faction, right? They opened up a little bit more, not to us, but to the Pilis, right? And in essence, they would bless their carnales in the States, right? At the end of the day, it's why I personally came out here, you know? But, anyways, I don't want to get sidetracked. Now, after a while, you guys know what happened. We got sent into a full mission, right? In Tepic. And, I remember we went out there and, at first we ended up hitting all the little ranchos, right? Because, we understood that the Beltranes had everything sold up to the dot, right? And, so, we're going little by little and trying to, and, in this case, it was, like I mentioned before, me, the Pili Mono, the Pili O, Pili Richie, and the camarada, as myself, Tweety from Ontario. And, we got, pulled over, right? Because we had a stolen Granfla with placas sobrepuestas. And, you know, I already told the story on how we got received just for the fact of being Sureños, right? Because, they never got anything out of any of us because, I'm here speaking about it, right? The Pilis are still out here doing their thing, right? And if they would have thought anything, believe me, would have been gone, right? Nevertheless, you guys know the torture they gave us, right? In the Pecarranza. And this was after a while we were there. I mentioned before a little bit too on how Richie and Tweety, Mono, they were straight lambe huevos, right? They were straight tecatos. They were getting so much BS that, I can remember there were so many times where, remember Tweety used to come around when we used to stroll the campo, the chanate, because we couldn't even group up in two, right? Or we could stomp in. But, we will walk, like, for example, I will pick a paisa and walk coffee, and then another camarada will walk with another paisa and coffee, and as we met, walking back and forth, that's the way we talked, right? Again, we know how to do that hush hush time, right? But it was always, a debt, so we were to keep an eye if they, Richie or Mono or even Tweety, right? Down to Siete Locos. If we seen that, we already had targets, right? Where we were gonna hit. We knew we weren't gonna make it afterwards, so we had to make it count. It's very different than the States when you do something and you're aware the tower's there. Here, there's no tower. So you're gonna boogie, boom, boom. But they all have talibanes, right? So you gotta make it count. And then what comes afterwards, because they're gonna come in even from the street. They're gonna torture you and you're out. So you knew exactly what's gonna happen. So either you're gonna ride from Campol or, at that point you didn't really have no option. Believe me, we experienced it with a vato from, I'll just say from a vato, right, from Valle Imperial, that he became out of water, right? It was different issue over pita, but, basically he got scared, so he tried to go tell Blas Leiva that was inside that we were doing this. So yeah, about 6 of us got our butt handed to us. And, we had made up our mind when we start walking, even if we get our butts whooped again, we're gonna go ahead and do this, dude. And, but Blas didn't give us a chance, he was chivaton. So they disappeared him. So at the end of the day, we knew what was coming after us. It was so many times that this fool's money would not get there because especially Richie, he would pressure his sister, so he started asking camaradas to basically to do him a favor with families, and of course, we're brainwashed, right, to be as loyal as possible with this individual, and we can't judge and we can't touch, right? And I say it for myself. I was that coward, right? That I knew better, but at the end of the day, I didn't do better, right? But nevertheless, where I'm going with this, without getting too much into details, because I do want to tell my story, right? Without losing everybody, Richie basically addressed us one time and the team that he was going to ask Chavo to go ahead and calm down and bring some feria because it was going to start a big old war with us and the Beltranes. With just to make it clear, it was not going to be no war. We're going to hit, but we were going to get dealt with, you know. But anyways, in this, all stuck up and said, "Now, Charles, don't have the camarada come down to Nayarit. This fool's on eggshells, and we already proved they just see, somebody taqueado in their own words, Pocho coming from Cali, pick him up and, you know, we're going to be back in seven locals, all of us. So that didn't matter, The vato wanted to pay his debt, so he was able to get more jale, right? Just as the gato does, but it was to an extent that we don't see these individuals in Cali, right? At least in the system. Or here was just straight the gato, right? That camaradas, we couldn't speak negative of them, but anyways, he did it behind the scenes, right? Got a chavo and raton, and the homies had heart, right? They thought also they could come in with their family and drop that off, because they have in that prison, right? They call it estafeta, or it's kind of like a UPS on the outside, right? You bring stuff to them, you give them their name, their compa, celda, you pay, and they bring it in to the prison. They go all the way in and hunt you down to give it to you. So they thought they could do that, but this fool was doing it in this pinta. There was a fool running the phones, and he would literally, you would tell him how many minutes, and he'll do his thing, and he'll allow you to click on, right? So, but he's always there side busting, right? He was a straight comadre, right? So he heard everything, and he went and opened his mouth, and just as we spoke, right outside the pinta, they picked up Chavo. And for those that are aware of that war, he was one of the persons that was skinny, right, on the outside or the salida de Mazatlan. That was a homie right there that came all the way out to please his staccato, because again, we're always blindsided to do exactly that. We see it nowadays, right? We're fed with lies, and of course, we're looking for that sense, so we bite into it. But if you really sit down and analyze things, all we're doing is chasing their dope, their habit, either for their pride or for their vain. They're at war with each other because they want to be more powerful than the next man. They feel the next man has more money. Or they put you on that loose rope because you're not bringing them in dope. Or whatever it has to do with dope, right? This was different surroundings, same thing, right? Same program. Anyways, the homie Raton, he took off, right? But he needed to play off. Again, the homie, he wasn't as taqueado as us, so he needed to play it off into big, Again, we're busted inside, right? But he was real famous, right? If you look him up, Chiquilin, right? That's what he was known for in Mexico. And he was walking in that big park of Tepi, Galoma or something like that. with this 2 year old little girl by his hand, and you know, we had already sent a message to go ahead and rotate tires, right? Get out of the state, because if they knew about Chavo, they knew he was there too, right? Again, they had Nayari sold out. But anyways, they walked up to him and they domed him right in the heart of that park, to the point where he landed underneath the brincolin, or that jumping thing, holding his little girl's hand. And that's what he got for being loyal, for pleasing a pecatos, because he couldn't control himself even in a place where they were just waiting for us to sleep. And they knew this. But whatever they did, hell no, that don't have no value. You're gonna do for me what I need, or else. And we were doing it when we didn't have to. We didn't have those chains no more. So I just wanted to touch up on the homies from the Valle, right? One from Canoa, one from Benais. You know, unfortunately, and with no disrespect, the homie Chavo got skinned, right? I was busted, so I just heard he got skinned, right? That's two camaradas later on, right? But I did see the newspaper on Raton in that park. But that's the rewards we get. You see, you could go on trying to please individuals and you're not gonna ever do it. So don't allow yourself to be dragged in that mindset as I was. I tell you, cause I did it. Look at me. I'm thankful for breathing, for life. Of course, I'm not minimizing that now, right? But I do have those moments where I sit down and this is a family's ranch, but I'm still solo. I can't even have family come visit me. Can't walk, I can't breathe. And you guys know where I got. But don't allow yourself to go down that path. If you're in that, go in, do your time. But once you hit R&R to go, just say, smell you later, family first from here out. Just be smart. Make something of yourself. Not just for yourself, but for those that want to see that for yourself because they love you. Stay true to yourself and love to your loved ones. I hope I made sense. I will put on a short a little later today. You could say I'm aguitado, but it's Sinaloa. People don't play fair, In Cali, at least, there's rules and regulations. They don't stay in them, but at least they hide from them, right? Here, there's none of that. As you guys will hear from my short, again, stay true to yourself, loyal to your loved ones. Be smart, not for yourself, for God, for your family,